at you again. What's happening? What's happening? What's happening, yo? It is me coming back at you again with another live hanging out vid. I'm gonna have to make this very short because I have to attend to some business in the next couple hours or so. So I wanted to jump on here and address this real quickly here. Now, it came out that Anthony Joshua has signed a 2-fight Wembley Stadium deal, which is dates are penciled in for September 22nd, and next year, which is 7 months after that, proceeds to April 19th. Now, this announcement comes on the eve of a report that was published by World Boxing News that there was, sources closer to Anthony Joshua indicated that he was very angry of Eddie Hearn's handling of the Deontay Wilder deal falling apart. Okay. And I did state in that my video that this is just all pretty much, this is only something you could say a little bit of hearsay with some mixture of facts. But the fact is that the only thing that's left is for Joshua or Hearn to knock down that story. Now, some are going to rejoice and say, well, they are actually. Some are saying that, see, there's no problems there. There's no problems. Anthony Joshua and Eddie Hearn are just fine. Well, probably some in the business sense, they're pretty much still okay. Well, there's still some bit of a communication differences between the two that's still lacking. And one, this story that just came out does not address the fact that does not address that whether Joshua was angry at Hearn the way that the Wilder deal was mishandled or not. That doesn't address it. Okay, but the one thing it does address that, okay, you know what? They still have some bit of a relationship left between the two, which is good news. It is, because we all want to see a fighter's relationship with the promoter be, what you call it? Don't want that to be sour, in the long run. So that's one thing. And two, let's really read the article together so that way we can all dissect it. So let me pull this up. We'll go through its entirety. What's good, Joes? What's good, man? So let me go ahead and read this article. In fact, I'm going to do a screen share. So let's see if we can do this together. Let's see. Let's do a screen share, okay? Screen share. Let's do a full screen. All right. So here we go. Anthony Joshua signs a Wembley fight deal for September and in April, according to BBC report. Unified heavyweight champion Anthony Joshua will return to Wembley Stadium for his next 2 fights. Now, Joshua, 28, has signed a 2-fight deal to compete at the National Stadium on the 22nd of September and the 13th of April, which is next year. Now, the WBA, IBF, and WBL champion beat Vladimir Klitschko there on April 2017, but has since fought twice at Cardiff's Principality Stadium. Joshua quoted, and I think he put this on his Twitter page, said, "Being North London, born and raised, it's in my blood. Wembley just added a 4th line to the den. Great. The opportunity to fight in such an iconic stadium is normally a once-in-a-career opportunity, so to be given the chance to fight there again is amazing." Now, his opponent on September 22nd will be confirmed next week, but it's expected to be Russia's Alexander Povetkin, the WBA mandatory challenger, with a view to be facing Deontay Wilder for all the belts in April. All right, Tony Bellew had a chance to chime in on this, said, quote, "This is huge. I'm pretty sure that AJ is going to be the first ever boxer to be watched over millions of people live with these kind of fights. People want to talk about giving public events. They don't come any bigger than Wembley, not once, twice, back to back," which I have to agree with. Joshua thanks his fans for attending who attended his dates in the Welsh capital, which is Cardiff, I believe. In the Welsh capital, where he scored a stoppage, where a stoppage win over Carlos Takam in October, which was controversial, by the way, and added the WBC belt, misprint, the WBO belt to his collection by outpointing Joseph Parker, which was a letdown fight. Anyways, win's a win. He can't take that credit away from him. Parker and Takam are solid opponents, so let's give him credit for that. Wembley gives his promoters around 90,000 seats to sell, with London Mayor Sadiq Khan have worked with Transport for London to delay engineering works that may have led to the reduced capacity. And Joshua's promoter, Eddie Hearn, hopes to surpass 90,000 for the April fight, which would be the British record for a boxing match held jointly by the Klitschko and Joshua bout and Len Harvey's meeting with Jack Avoy at the White City Stadium in 1939. Hearn tweeted, quote, capacity for the, let's see what people are saying in the comment section. Yo, what up, Dwayne? Joho says that September and into April is such a long time gap. Yeah, it is. It is a long gap. So we'll probably tackle that in a sec. Let me read this. So Hearn tweeted, quote, capacity for Joshua's next fight, September 22nd, will be 90,000. We're expecting the capacity to be extended to over 100,000 on April 13th. So I don't think anyone will forget the night that on April 29, 2017, when against Klitschko, and we plan to bring 2 more dramatic events to Wembley. All righty. Next step is no negotiation on venue analysis. BBC Sport reporter Luke Reddy. The 2-fight deal is interesting. We now know if Joshua gets through the likely meeting with Povetkin, the venue for any fight with Wilder in April is set in stone. Now, it never hurts to take one sticky point out of the negotiation process, which has proven painfully drawn out and complicated. Wembley is perfect venue for Joshua. His fight nights are drawing more and more first-timers to the sport, and there's no venue more accessible in terms of ticket numbers in the country. Those linked in the principality saying may be frustrated to miss out, but the fact that the venue has a roof means it's more likely to come back into the winner option at some point in the coming years with Joshua now too big for the arenas. Now, here's the thing. The one thing I'm kind of curious about is that it doesn't specify I'm wondering, does this have anything to do with the 3-fight deal that the 3-year deal, I should say, that Josh would have to was supposed to fight 2.5 months ago? Remember that 3-fight, that 3-year, £1 million deal that was offered for him to extend his relationship with Matchroom? That's yet to be signed. So this article doesn't even address that part. And again, as I mentioned earlier, it doesn't even address the part that it doesn't address how Joshua was angry, how the mishandling of the Wilder negotiations turned about. So, yeah, people are jumping for joy that, hey, you see, there's no problems. Boxing, World Boxing News credibility is shot. Now, is there a credibility shot? To an extent, yes, because obviously, again, Eddie Hearn had to, and Joshua had to get ahead of that story when it came out, which is a smart thing to do from a PR standpoint. But they didn't, quite knock it down. But I'm sure they're going to have to knock that down because there's still some unanswered questions there. The question I want to know is, did Hearn push that fight over the Wilder fight? Because that's what the report said. And, and before that, he did say that Joshua was the one who chose the Povetkin fight rather than the Wilder fight. So like I said, there's still some unanswered questions there. So again, does this mean their relationship is still is teetering? From this news, it's a balance. It means they're kind of back on the same page here, but that doesn't mean their relationship is not tethering. Now, as far as that 3-year deal, maybe behind closed doors that Joshua rejected it and said, no, I want a short-term deal, not a long-term deal. Because 3 years is kind of a long time. Let's give me a short-term deal, and then we'll renegotiate how things work out after that short-term deal. That's probably what he wanted behind closed doors. That's just my assumption. So that's probably why there was no announcement of him signing that 3-year deal yet. They had to come about. But who knows? That may be announced. Now, as far as the opponent is concerned, Where's still no Vivek announcement yet, but they said they're going to expect to announce that next week. Now there's a possibility it may not be Vivek. I hope it's Vivek. Who knows? Who knows? Who knows? But let me reserve my thoughts on that later, because I've also have learned that Big Baby Miller may not go through with the what you call it, the Kubrat Pulev fight. So Huey Fury may step in, and we all know that Big Baby Miller is ranked highly by the WBA, so that'd be interesting there. Well, let's see what we got here in the comments. Eric Williams, what's up, Dan? The man, word of advice for Joshua Hearn and Barry Germs, only in the business for collecting their butt line, not yours. Make your own decision. Well, I want to call them germs, but I won't call them that, man. But like I said, boxing is a business. I hate to say it. They're trying to do what's best. So let's see. Eddie Sasa, what's going on, man? This is live. He said, I'd rather see AJ drop the belt and pursue the Wilder fight. Yeah, I mean, from what the looks of it, they said it's going to be the Povetkin fight, so he doesn't have to drop it. But, if it's not Povetkin, because like I said, 1 week is a long time to announce a fight. Especially when, it was already, pretty much their preliminary stages of it was confirmed 2 weeks ago. So there's a possibility that may not happen. So we'll see. We'll see how that turns out, man. But, yeah, I'm glad he's not dropping the belt. I'm glad that he's keeping it. Definitely some good signs of them, kind of getting ahead of that story that came out. Basically, this is what it is strategically from a PR standpoint, which is smart. That's what you're going to have to do. But again, there's still some unanswered questions about that story that came out that this wasn't addressed. And this story right here does not answer that question. The only thing it answers is whether is there friction between the two. That's it. Does it kind of knock it down to some degree? Yes, it does. I will admit that it does. But it's again, there's still some unanswered questions here. The situation is all over the place. Yeah, it is, Texan. That's why everybody's confused here. Like I said, it's like you have one promoter that says one thing, then next day he contradicts himself. So this is why it's so bizarre with all his contradictions. I never see a promoter do things like this, to be honest with you. Eddie Sasa says, I think they may have venue issues. Can't announce if they have no venue. Yeah, that's a possibility, but I also heard that, especially with the Wilder situation, it was the TV rights that got involved because of the zone. And Eddie is really, I think he's pressing the clock on to get some marquee fighters signed on to the zone deal. I know they announced that they're going to make some announcements on the list of fighters they've signed up for the deal. I think in the next couple of weeks, I believe that's July 18th. So we'll see how that happens. We'll see what happens from there. Joho says, I don't know why, but I can see 4 different heavyweight champions in the near future all avoiding each other. Well, you know what, Joho? What's so disappointing about this situation is that we all thought that when, the Klitschko reign was over and Tyson Fury, we have to thank Tyson Fury for that. We all were rejoicing the idea that the heavyweight division has now got some new, signs of life, fresh blood. Now, we will start to see some good fights. We start to see some top heavyweight contenders fight each other. We thought, okay, great. We see, the best fighting the best in the heavyweight division, as opposed to the other divisions, the smaller divisions where there's a lot of pussyfooting going on, where guys are avoiding each other, guys are moving up in weight or moving down in weight to avoid top and dangerous opponents. But in this case, you hit the nail on the head, Joe. So in the case of the heavyweights, I don't know, man. It seems like there's, there are still some good fights made, yes, but it comes to the big fights. I don't know, man. It seems like there's a lot of stalling. There's a lot of negotiating. Let's not pretend it's never happened before in the heavyweight division. But I guess from one aspect of it, it's just that it's disappointing that it's not it's not where it should be at this point. But it's getting there. But it should be. The Texas says there are some pretty good prospects that could grow into some serious threats. Yoka, Dewar, and the 6'6" Eastern European player Bekistan. I forgot his name. Yeah, I know who you're referring to, Texan. I forgot his name as well. Throw in there Joe Joyce as well. Joe Joyce is a very, very, very dangerous prospect right now. It seems like there's some guys who are not keen on fighting the guy. Eddie Sasa said, Dan, man, what's your take on Wilder winning 50-50 now? Yeah, you know what, Eddie, I actually addressed that in one of my previous videos, and I have to really strongly object to Wilder's request for that. In one scenario, I did paint out the scenario why he requested it, is see it from his, I'd like to see it from his perspective why he wanted it, because in his eyes, he's like, look, you guys going to up the demands against me, then you give me 50-50, especially if you're not giving me a rematch clause. So that's why he's requesting it. But at the same time, I still think that he should not do that because, first of all, it's a 60-40 fight, in my opinion. You're getting no more than 40% because you're not the guy who's going to dictate the situation at this point. Now that Joshua's kind of maintain control of the matter. Okay, if you're going to come to Wembley, pretty much this is their terms, this is their backyard. But the fact is that him doing that was a bad move because now it's giving ammunition to his detractors to go after him. It's like, wait a minute, you was willing to accept whatever the money they were going to give you. Now you want to up the split like that? That's crazy, So I mean, look, he is within his right to believe what he wants, but at the same time, it does make him look bad here. Again, the point is, I just don't agree with him doing that. I don't think he's going to get 50-50. More likely, realistically, it's going to be a 60-40 split. That's all it is. Lennox Lewis said it at best, 60-40 split is fair. Absolutely, it is fair. And another thing I wanted to ask you guys in the comment section real quickly. I want to ask you guys something. Do you think Anthony Joshua, because a lot of people are saying, heavyweight boxing is going to stay here at home in the UK. Do you think Joshua should eventually go to the US and fight? Just an honest question. Yes or no? Should he go to the US and fight? Because Lennox Lewis and Carl Froch has suggested that he should do that because they did it. So Joshua should do the same thing. That's what they're saying. So do you agree with Lennox Lewis and Carl Froch when they said that? That Joshua should go to the US and fight? All right, well, I'll wait for those answers. If he wants to become a crossover star, then he should. Yeah, look, Joshua is popular in Europe and some parts of Africa. That's a good thing, but to become a crossover star in the U.S., that's a challenge because the U.S. boxing in the U.S. market is pretty much it's pretty much not where it should be. Obviously, after the Mayweather Pacquiao fight of the century showdown, that really took a major hit in the U.S. market when it comes to boxing. Because you have to understand, the market is totally different than it is in the UK. Here is more about the casual appeal than it is in the UK. When that fight was a huge letdown, the casuals in the USA was not tuned into boxing again after that. It really damaged it to the point it's going to take a long time for it to recover. And I do see some signs of it being recovered a bit because Wilder's starting to become more of a casual name. Some of the casuals start to recognize who he is. Of course, Adrian Broner, they know who that guy is. The casuals do. Earl Spence, not so much. Earl Spence still got some ways to go to get that casual crossover appeal. So that's probably it's progressing a little bit, but still got ways to go before it captures that appeal in the U.S. But as far as Joshua's concerned, he's going to need a lot of work to do if he wants to become a big name here in the U.S. I know some are going to argue he doesn't need that. Fair enough, but as Lennox Lewis and Carl Froch says that if you want to become a crossover star, then you're going to have to come over to the U.S. That's what they said, not my words. Now, the Texas says, yeah, why not? I don't mind, just to see how American consumers react to a heavyweight major fight. Yeah, let's test it out. Let's test the waters out, see how it goes, the consumers seem to be all right with Deontay Wilder. He started to get his name recognition build up here with casuals here in the U.S., like I said. But then again, like I said, it's still got a little work to do. Deontay's still got a little work to build his popularity. It is still growing, believe it or not. It's still growing. Still a little work, but it's still growing. FaZe Gurr says that if he stays with her, maybe he'll go over with Matchroom USA. Hey, why not? Why not? I think Anthony should come over to US. There were reports they were going to fight Big Baby Miller in August. Of course, that's not going to happen. So who knows? It could be Big Baby. Like I said, they said they're going to make an announcement next week on who the opponent's going to be. It doesn't guarantee it's Povetkin, although the report said it's expected to be Povetkin. It could be Big Baby because he pulled. For what I've heard, he pulled out. He's not going through with the Pulev fight. So what? I mean, I'm still kind of we're all kind of trying to search for answers here on this situation. So we'll see. We will see. Eddie Sauce says, is it Teslenko? I think it's Teslenko, that 6'6" Eastern European fighter. I think that's him. Blackline Seas, what's going on, man? He says, how much longer are you willing to wait before you're going to give up on the AJ Wilder fight? I'll give it another few months, man. I'm willing to give it another, give it some sense of hope going into January of next year. If we don't hear something by then, or maybe late this year, let's say towards a holiday, if Christmas holiday, if we don't hear something by then, let's just call it what it is. It's not going to happen unless AJ and Hearn says it's going to happen, because they will still want to dictate the terms here. I announced this 2-fight deal at the UK. That does definitely put pressure on Wilder to sign on to the fight for April. Now, again, this is not a long-term deal. This is only a short-term deal. So AJ, again, this does not address his contractual situation with Matchroom. That still has yet to be renewed. And as I just initially stated, that AJ probably rejected it behind the scenes and says, no, I'm not signing a long-term deal. I'm going to do a short-term deal. Once we get through the short-term deal, we can review our relationship and review our results, and then we'll go from there. And I'll decide whether I'll renew with you guys long-term or not. That's probably what could have occurred, and that's why we didn't hear anything about him renewing it 2 months ago. So that's a possibility. Let's see. Do you think, Eddie Sasa said, do you think, Danaman, that Miller duck Pulev? Well, if you pull out of a mandatory fight, a duck is a duck. Yep, it is. And I like Big Baby, even though I do disagree with some of his antics. But yeah, if you're not going through with a mandatory fight, then, a mandated fight by the sanctioned body, then you pull out, that's a duck. Plain and simple. Even though if you have your reasons, whether it's morality, whether it's financial reasons, like Dillian White said, it was more, the reason why he didn't go through the Ortiz fight, it was due to a morality situation. A duck is a duck. Plain and simple. And with the Pulev situation, we can also say that White did the same thing, because that was a financial reason, or more so than an advantage reason. Because according to Kubrat Pulev, I have to dive into this a bit. According to Pulev said, unquote, that he felt that the negotiations process between him, White, and Hearn was a joke. He said those guys shouldn't be taken seriously, and then, just paraphrasing what he said in an article, interview he gave, I think it was Boxing Scene. And then when the purse bid came about and he won it, Hearn and White tried to renegotiate behind the scenes with a Pulev to get him to come over to the UK and offer a 7-figure deal for him to do it. And he said, no, you lost a purse bid. You got to deal with it. You guys are going to have to come to Bulgaria. And that's when they pulled out. So, so one instance, White pulls out of the Pulev fight because of the financial and the advantage reasons. And then, for the Ortiz reasons, he pulled out. The Ortiz fight didn't go through that because of the morale standpoint. So, I mean, again, it answers the question. If you pull out of a mandated fight, it's a duck. Plain and simple. Now, that's another thing I want to get into real quickly. James Degale situation. I'll just chop that up and I'll get back to Joshua. Yeah, he vacated his IBF title. And this comes at a time where he was ordered to fight Jose Uzcategui, who is a dangerous super middleweight right now. And Degale, ducking, basically people are going to call that a duck. Yeah, it is. I mean, you could say it's for the right reasons, because you could tell he's at the end of his career. He's pretty much worn, torn, and he's pre-shot right now. James Degale is pretty much a shot fighter, and he knows that himself, and he's even quoted that from now on, I'm just going after the bigger fights. Belts don't mean nothing to me at this point. That's pretty much essentially what he's saying. And he, by that line of language, that's an indication that he just, looking for maybe a couple more fights at the end of his career and then call it a quits. And I think he should retire at least after one more fight, in my opinion. Because watching his performance in the Caleb Truett's rematch, I thought that he really didn't have much left in that fight. Even though he fought based on heart, not much skill, but just a lot of heart. But a lot of rough house tactics, dirty, malicious fight that he fought. I mean, he did what he had to do. This is a boxing game, but yeah, I think he's done. Yeah, the Latin Seas. I think he's done based off that last performance by Truex. And I hate to say it, though, even though I thought he had a draw against Badu Jack, he took some punishment in that fight against Badu Jack, and he took some punishment. He had some tough fights with Porky Medina, tough fights with Lucien Boutte, a very tough fight with George Groves, Andre Durrell. So yeah, this dude's had a lot of tough fights early on in his career, man. I just think he just don't have it no more. I think he's really took a toll on him and his body, physically. Not just, I think Jason Gale mentally is still there to some degree, but physically, I just don't think he's there anymore. I'm just being honest. Let's see. Dan Eddie Sasa said Pulev will outpoint both all day for me. Yeah, Pulev is a very, very, very good, very good boxing punch at heavyweight. He does utilize his range very well. He has the, I think, in my opinion, probably one of the best top two, top three jabs in the heavyweight division. So I think that Pulev is. Am I still screen sharing here? Yeah, I'm still screen sharing. Let me end it. So Pulev is still he's still a very legit heavyweight, and the only thing about Pulev that he's too upright, man. He keeps his chin way so high, and that's what makes him a bit of a target, whatnot, and that's how Klitschko was able to time his left hook against Pulev, because Pulev wasn't, he was just upright. He wasn't, his chin was too high, and that's how he was being tagged by Klitschko in their fight. So yeah, I mean, as far as his boxing skill, definitely got a very good boxing skills for a heavyweight. Excellent. He's got great balance, excellent balance, whatnot. So yeah, very fast hands too. I know they Joseph Parker has got the fastest hands as a heavyweight. Pulev definitely got one of the fastest hands. D Style, what's going on, man? What's going on? He said I wasn't reading the chat then in one of the videos about Eddie Hearn, or seeing your comment about you giving a link. Yeah. I was asking you to give me a link so I could come on about one of your hangouts. So it's all good. We'll saw it after I finish the video. It's all good, man. No worries about it. We'll chop it up some other time, or we can chop it up real quickly because I have about an hour to spare. But yeah, I hear you, man. It seems like 168 is weak enough for him to still thrive. He does have a high mileage, though. Yeah, he does, but Degale just said to me he's at the end of it. He's shot, man. He's shot. The Texas says, yeah, it makes me kind of wonder, scratching my head, as a decorated amateur and Olympic gold medalist, if Degale would go down like this. Well, like I said, man, I mean, he just had a very, very, very tough career early on, and it not to the severity like Fernando Vargas. I mean, obviously his career ended way too early, and he retired at a young age of 29. And that's because after his 15th fight against, it all began with his fight against your boy Campos. Then it proceeded with his fights with Raul Marquez, Winky Wright, Ike Corte. I mean, those were very tough for brutal fights for a young man to come, for a young fighter to go through, at the early stage of his career. And he prevailed in those fights. He gave his heart out, and he matured early. He learned on the job in those fights, And so in some of those fights, people felt that he wasn't ready for those type of fights. And I guess it was the beginning of the end for Fernando when he stepped in there against Felix Trinidad. I mean, he fought hard, fought a very tough and grueling fight against Tito, and then Tito, in my opinion, or obviously you could say it's pretty much factual at this point, Tito ruined Fernando, not only mentally but physically. He was never the same fighter physically after that fight. So I mean, that was at the early stage of his career, and that was his 20th pro fight. And like I said, he had 5 successful title defenses going in. He was the youngest champion at that time. So yeah, he just I mean, he did regain he did regain the WBA championship belt when he beat Jose Flores. So but he lost in his first defense in the unification bout against Oscar De La Hoya. So Fernando was just never the same after that. Never the same fighter. And you can see he's mentally, not only he's
he's he's very punch drunk right now. And Mr. Dockett and I were talking about that the other day. You could tell Fernando, when he was going to his last fight against Ricardo Mayorga, he looked like he aged quick. He looked kind of like he was old. And that was the fact that he had a lot of battle scars and tissues. I mean, look at him. He had to go up against big pretty punchers like some decent, some respectable punchers like De La Hoya, of course Felix Trinidad, obviously, to Shane Mosley. Those guys are small guys, but their power carried up very well when they moved up in the weights. So those are very big punchers, So you know, for small guys. The Texas says that, damn, I remember Fernando was throwing the gauntlet. Yeah, you could say he was to a degree, but again, when you grab that world title, that's what they expect from you. Those are the standards, man. People expect you to defend it against all comers. You got to give Fernando credit for that. He did do that. Tito Backlash said Tito destroyed him. Tito destroyed a few young hungry lions. Yeah, I mean Tito is usually a career killer. If you think about it, he killed David Reed's career. We all remember David Reed. He battered him. And your boy Compass, even though he was undefeated, some felt that he was a bit untested to some degree. Your boy Compass was undefeated going in against Trinidad, and that was Trinidad's first title win. And people thought that Compass was going to knock out Trinidad because he was knocking everyone out. And when Trinidad did to Compass, that was a brutal knockout. What he did to him, Compass was not really the same fighter after that. So, he was not the same. But to be fair, though, he did win the, he went up in weight. He went from welterweight, and he won the. He won another title, so he won the IBF Super welterweight title, which he lost to Fernando Vargas, by the way. But it is what it is. And speaking of Uruguay Compass, that dude's still fighting. What I've heard, he's still fighting, but he's fighting locally in Mexico, though. So, I don't know why. It is what it is. Still can't grasp my head around Tito beating Sweet Pea convincingly. I mean, where his legs really that gone? I mean, or was it his pride thing? Yeah. I mean, that was actually the actual fight that Pernell Whitaker lost. Because before that loss, some people felt that his losses were very controversial. Like against De La Hoya, some people felt that he won that fight, which I felt he won that fight against De La Hoya. And then before that, he had a controversial draw against against Julio Cesar Chavez Sr. Many people felt he won that fight, was robbed from a decision from that. So, Sweet Pea, that was the first time he actually lost a fight in a convincing fashion. He was competitive, and some people wonder, why didn't he use his boxing skills against Felix Trinidad? Why did he decide to trade with a guy like that? I don't know, man. It could be pride, or it could be the fact that Sweet Pea he was just dragged into Trinidad's fight game. I mean, that was his plan, because Trinidad, at the time, people felt that Trinidad could only fight one way. Was that the only way for him to win a fight is that he had to trade. You have to trade with him, and many, and that was just proven to be suicide against a guy like that. And Sweet Pea just decided he wanted to trade with him because he felt that, I'm the older guy, I'm the more experienced guy, I'm going to teach this kid a lesson. He just didn't go. He didn't fight the fight that he normally fights, and that was a mistake that he's going to have to live with obviously live with it for the rest of his life. So, I mean, that's a Hall of Fame win for Felix Trinidad. But it is what it is. I mean, he had Hall of Fame win against Hector Macho Camacho before that. So Felix had a very great career, no question about it. One of the best fighters in modern time. Sweet Pea. Oh yeah, I forgot about the Jose Luis Ramirez loss too. Some people felt that he deserved a decision in that fight. So it is what it is. That was for his first world title fight. That was his 15th for a fight that he fought for a world title. What does that tell you? Or 16th, I think, or 15th or 16th, or 17th, something around there. But Pernell Whitaker fought for a world title early in his career. So what does that tell you? The Texas says that reminds me of Law and Hurd. Not really, because I think Lar was trying his best to fight his normal fight, but he couldn't do that because Jerry Hurd was not giving him no respect. and he was not giving Lar no respect from all distance. So he felt that Lar had no choice but to trade with him in the inside, so that way he can try to get his respect. So I think that's what it was. Backlash sees that Tito is one of the best welterweights of all time. Oh, absolutely, he's definitely up there. He's the I think he holds the record for being the longest reigning welterweight champion in history. I believe he does with the number of title defenses that he's had. He was a 5 year reigning welterweight champion. So yeah, but the only fight that he should have taken was the I Corte fight. That should have been a fight that him, his father, and his team should have made, and they made no attempt to doing that because they've admitted in the Hall of Fame speech that they had some legal issues, and then after they got those legal issues, they moved on. They weren't thinking about fighting I Corte. So to me, I took that as a bit of a duck, but it is what it is. The fight never happened. That was a fight people wanted to see. I remember back in the day where the only social media platform we had was America Online, where in the chat rooms it was divided between categories, uh, where you had the sports section, you had the recreation section, then you had the other sections of the chat rooms, and we always had that boxing chat room, and a lot of guys were tearing into Tito Trinidad because they felt he was ducking Bazooka Mike I Corte. You think he ducked him? Nah. Well, I mean, I think. Look, here's the thing. Black Line sees. It was all rumored at the time. I didn't believe it myself until I saw that Hall of Fame speech and how they answered that question. Because someone asked that question to Tito. Someone asked him, "Why didn't you fight Ike Corte?" And then Tito said, "I'll let my father address that." So his father, Trinidad Senior, went to this long little diatribe of a explanation on, well, that we had legal issues, this, that, and the third, but once we cleared that issue, we moved on. So I'm like, what? Wait, hold up. I was laughing at that comment. I was laughing at that line of answer. And I'm like, wait a minute. I took that as a duck because that to me is like you guys deliberately didn't want that fight because you knew that was a dangerous fight, in my opinion. The way Papa Trinidad answered that question. So yeah, I took that as a duck. But it is what it is. It's nothing. It's nothing to argue over it. Ike Corte had a decent career, but not a. He didn't really have that Hall of Fame career like Trinidad did. So, Trinidad obviously fought much better opposition, beat much better opposition than Corte. So that's very obvious. And he's had those Hall of Fame wins more so than Corte. But at the same time, a duck is a duck. So that's why I would say. The Texas says, Black Line sees that Lara won that fight. It was pretty close. Obviously, I had her winning because of the knockdown, but I did have Lara winning before that knockdown happened. So once he lost that point in the knockdown, then that was it for him. That's what sealed the fight. In fact, the judges actually agree with me because if Lara didn't get knocked down, he would have won that fight. He would have won it by close split decision, but that knockdown is what did him in. So, Bazooka had the jab like a motherfucker, very underrated, great stiff jab and strong right hand. Yeah, I mean he used to put guys down with that left jab too. I guess low level opposition, but his jab was very lethal. It's like one of those jabs that you couldn't really defend. I remember Oscar De La Hoya had a tough time against that jab against Ike Corte. That's another thing about De La Hoya. He took that fight on, but Trinidad didn't take that fight on. So, close fight. I looked at it. At first, I thought that Corte won it, but then I looked at it again. I was like, you know what? Oscar pulled it off. Not just because of that second knockdown, but I thought he was getting the best of Bazooka maybe in the last 2 rounds of that fight. Damn good fight. I wish there was a rematch because I know Corte wanted that rematch. He was calling Oscar out for that rematch, but that was never granted because obviously Oscar knew he was in a hell of a fight. So he was like, nah, forget that. I ain't giving that guy no rematch. I can see why he was being avoided because Bazooka was being avoided by a lot of fighters. He was. So, and obviously now we can say that Trinidad was one of those guys that did avoid him. Now we can say that. So it is what it is. Did Ike drop Oscar and Fernando? He did not drop Fernando Vargas, but he did definitely drop Oscar De La Hoya, and that was in the 5th round. That was the same round that De La Hoya dropped he dropped Bazooka in that round too, that same round. So yeah, To Texas, yo, Dad, did you hear about Donaire entered the 118-pound tournament? What? Really? I did not hear that. Let me look that up if that's true. Because the Nito Donaire is too fucking huge to be damn fighting that bantamweight. I mean, wait a minute. Hold up. Hold up. Let me see. I didn't hear anything about that. What? Oh, whoa, 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 whoa. What? Wait a minute. Wait a minute. All right, let's screen share this right here. Wait a minute. This actually came out 17 minutes ago. Hey, shout out to you, Texan. Thanks for bringing this up because we're gonna read this story together. Hold up. Hold up. Okay, let me screen share this. Give me 1 second. Whoa. All right, so here we go. Nonito Donaire enters the World Boxing Super Series 118-pound tournament. Former 4 division world title holder Nonito Donaire is entering the bantamweight division, a division that he's not fought in the last 7 years. Donaire has joined the field of the World Boxing Super Series 118-pound tournament that is scheduled to begin this fall. Tournament organizers, which they announced on Thursday. How that happened? It is what it is. All right, so Donaire, let me screen share this one more time so you guys can take a look. All right, here we go. So Donaire has joined the tournament, the field of those guys and organizers, blah, blah, blah. I'm really looking forward to this tournament. Entering the tournament gives me an opportunity to showcase my capabilities against the best in the division. The division is stacked with talent, and that's really exciting. I believe my size, keyword size, experience, and most of my power will give me the edge over my opponents. All right, I'll leave it at there. I'm not going to read much into this. So, and Japanese star Naoya Inoue has not been formally announced as a participant, but he said, though, after his first round knockout of Jamie McDonald, he would enter the tournament. So we haven't gotten an announcement for Inoue yet. He did say he was going to get in, but there has to be a formal announcement by the organizers of the World Boxing Super Series. But we'll get to Naoya Inoue pretty shortly. But yeah, how the fuck is he going to make 118? That's my what? Wait a minute, let me stop screen sharing this for a second. Hold up. How's he going? How's he going to make that weight, dude? I mean, Nito literally going to have to kill himself to make that weight. Again, the key word is size. So I mean, is he deliberately going back down to weight to get that size advantage and height advantages over those guys? Seriously, I mean, damn. I know people are going to accuse him of being a weight bully now. I mean, talk about being a weight bully. I mean, he barely could scrap to super bantamweight for some time, and now I'm saying he's going all the way back down to bantamweight. The tournament, I know the money is too lucrative, but I guess hey, the money is right. I'm going to go in and make the weight, even if I have to kill myself. Jesus Christ! Oh man, the Texas says that even if Donaire is entering, I can only hope that he's been training strength to get shed the weight after fighting Frampton. Donaire is huge, man. I mean, even as a super bantamweight, he was huge. I mean, yeah, obviously super bantamweight, even at featherweight, he was pretty huge. So how the hell is he gonna get all the way back down to make 118? That right there is very bizarre to me. I mean, very bizarre. Wow, I gotta title this. All right, hold up. Shout out to you, Texas, for bringing that up. Oh man, that is bizarre. Very bizarre. Let's see what happens here. There we go. All right. So I mean, anyways, do you guys think Donaire is actually going to beat those guys? Rodriguez, Burnett, Tete. Who else? Who else entered the tournament? I think that's it so far. We have Tete, we have Burnett, we have Rodriguez. We got Donaire. I think there's another guy too that Nyota mentioned too in private chat. I forgot the guy's name, but do you how do you how do you how do you guys see Donaire's chances of winning that tournament against those guys? I mean, seriously. Nah, I think he's going to get massacred by Inui. Oh yeah, Inui. I forgot about him. Even though he said he's going to get in, but there has to be a formal announcement. So if you include him per se now, yeah, Inui's going to destroy Donito Donaire. I don't see him having a chance against him. I'm just being honest. Let me see. All three judges had Lara up at least by 1 point on the cards, but that one judge gave him that win even with the knockdown. So did I. Yeah, I mean, it happens. I mean, if he was up 115, I think he was up by before the knockdown, he was up one. Let me see, 107, I think. No, 106 to no. He was up 105 to 104 going into the 12th. So if you give the point back for the knockdown, he's up 114, 113. So okay, I can see that. Well, Tete at least. Yeah, Tete would definitely destroy Nonito Donaire. I mean, how's he gonna get out of that way with that left hook by Tete? I mean, to be fair, Nonito Donaire was known for his left hook, but dude, he hasn't fought at fucking bantamweight in 7 years. Is he gonna pull off an Oscar De La Hoya? Well, obviously, Oscar De La Hoya looked bad when he drained himself to go back to welterweight to fight Manny Pacquiao. So this could be the same scenario for Donaire, to be honest with you. What up, Rock? What's going on, bruh? What's going on, man? Just addressing this whole Joshua situation to begin about that Wembley fight deal that he's announced and some other things. People are rejoicing for joy about, hey, you see, there's no problems with her and Joshua. That's not necessarily the case because this is all, stemming from that article that came out yesterday by World Boxing News that some people say, yeah, your guy's credibility is shot, this, that, and the third, which it does put a little dent to it, but that doesn't address whether Joshua is angry about how Hearn handled the negotiations with his fight with Wilder. This news doesn't address that, nor it address the fact that, hey, what about that matchroom deal that he was supposed to sign 2 months ago, that 3-year deal? It doesn't address that. So they may have came to terms and said, okay, let's do a 2-fight deal, and then we'll sort out other differences. That's a possibility. And this announcement doesn't even include the Povetkin fight, even though they did say the Povetkin fight was, even though the announcers did say that they expect, according to the report, they are going to make an announcement next week on who the opponent is going to be, and expect to be Alexander Povetkin. So that still is not quite concrete yet. So I hope it's Povetkin. I hope it is, but we'll see. We'll see. But who knows? It could be it could be a complete 180. But anyways, back to the task at hand. Can Donaire beat Rodriguez? No. Rodriguez is too fast for him. I don't see it. I don't see it. I mean, if Donaire thinks he's going to go back down and try to weight bully those guys, that's what people are going to say. I know people are going to say, well, how's he weight bullying if he's making the weight? Well, fair enough, but you do have to understand is that he hasn't made that weight in years, and we all know that Donaire is going to fucking rehydrate to a fucking goddamn, after the weigh-in, he's going to rehydrate up to probably 136 pounds, even 140. If that, he's going to be fighting goddamn near like welterweight, according to these bantamweight fights. So he's going to have a huge size advantage up against these guys going into, in this damn tournament. So let's be real. I don't know if Nonito can even make the weight, that would be a miracle. But he can't say he'd be healthy though. Yeah, that's a good point. That's a good point. He's gonna really, really kill himself to make that weight. He's going to starve himself to death. He's going to have to be having various liquid diets. It's going to be difficult for him to make that weight because Donaire is huge for a fucking. Right now, he's huge to be a super. He's huge to be a featherweight. He's huge. Dude, I think when he fought Carl Frampton, he was like close to welterweight. He weighed in what 143 in that fight, 144. So dude was kind of huge. Dude, I don't know, man. I don't know. I mean, if Nito got to do what he's got to do to get that, I think that the jackpot is $50 million. So why not kill yourself to make the weight to get that 50 million if you have to? You know, I don't know. That's gonna be a miracle. I agree. That's gonna be a miracle for him to make that weight. He's gonna have a really really tough battle doing that. So, well, if I were him, I'd rather get in shape right now so that way he could stay at 126, maybe 118. But Jesus, all right, man. Hey, what do y'all think of Bud Crawford and Errol Spence next opponents? I don't know. Has that been announced yet? I don't know what Bud's next opponent is going to be. I heard it's going to be Ramirez. Well, actually, no. Ramirez actually, they scrapped that fight, so that's not going to happen. So I don't know. I don't know who's Bud's going to fight next. I don't know who Spence going to fight next. So that's yet to be determined. I don't know. I mean, do you know something about that Black Legacies? Oh, sorry. But may fight Benavides. Oh, not Ramirez. Benavides. Okay, Benavides. Spence will try to get Vargas. Jesse Vargas, that is. Yeah, I heard those are the rumors, but that's not that's not been confirmed yet. So we'll see. Vargas as an opponent for Spence, not bad. Uh, Benavides for Bud, not bad either. Both for decent opponents, but I'd rather obviously see them fight. The likes of Porter, Garcia, Thurman whatnot. But obviously, Thurman's not going to get back into the fray for a long while. So let's eliminate him from the equation at the moment. So as far as Garcia and Porter, obviously they're tied up for the WBC fight. So at this moment, the welterweight division is kind of getting. It's only got a few names, but it's kind of thin. So it is what it is. Both should be active at least 3 times a year for now. Yeah, I agree. If they're not taking any damage in their fights, why not? You can be more active than as much as you want to. Now, yeah, I was wondering who could they fight. I know Spence needs some big name on his resume soon. Yeah, that's a good question. I mean, like I said, other than Garcia Porter, which they're occupied, Thurman's out of the commission. He won't be fighting for a while. Well, let's look at the rankings. Let's see who's a big name. I mean, who could they fight at this point? Let's look. Let's look at the rankings here. Oh, excuse me, guys. I'm a little tired today. Well, Boxrec has Terrence Crawford #1 pound for pound. Okay. Interesting. And they have Carl Alvarez #2, Gennady Golovkin #3. Luis Neri still ranked in the. Oh man, come on! You got to be fucking kidding me. Leo Santa Cruz. That's iffy. I don't know. Okay, that's another video. Let's see. Welterweight. Crawford is rated the #1 welterweight in the world by BoxRec. You got Spence, you got Garcia, you got Porter, Jeff Horn. Well, Crawford already beat Jeff Horn. Vargas, which is rumored Spence is going to fight. Peterson's already got beat by Spence. Broner. Well, Broner's still ranked as a welterweight. Okay. Then you got Akadu I can't even pronounce his last name because he's from Malaysia. Kutura Rob Abdog. Okay, I can't pronounce it. Sorry, guys. I'm going to butcher it. Yeah, you got Kaviluskas, who's fighting out of Ostart. Omar Figueroa. I mean, Omar Figueroa. We haven't seen him in action for a long time, so we don't know what's going on with him because I know he's got a lot of personal issues outside of boxing. Batiste, Pacquiao still hanging around. Antonio DeMarco. So this welterweight division is not really that deep, but he's definitely got some talented names. I mean, he's got Peterson, he's got Broner. I mean, obviously because he did fight at catchweight in his last fight at welterweight, so I guess you could include him in that equation. But yeah, it's just it's not really Josh Kelly is there. I mean, who's an up and coming fighter, but I don't. That division is not really that deep. It doesn't. I mean, Ugas is up and coming name. Or actually, Errol Spence was talking about fighting Ugas, so he wasn't really keen about making that fight. So I mean, it's not a bad fight, but still, Ugas. Okay, fair enough. I mean, it's a decent fight. He is rated highly. I think he's #1 rated by the IBF. So I think that's a fight that Spencer was really keen on taking. I mean, but Ugas is definitely not a big name, but he's definitely a good opponent. Uh, yeah, it's kind of tough because I want to see him fight Garcia and Porter next, but I have no idea what's going on with that fight. Heard it's being pushed back to November. Yeah, that's the rumor mill I heard too the other day. It's because the big names right now are either tied up or they're trying to fight someone else or coming off an injury. Yeah, that's true, Texan. There's always something going on there. How y'all like that? Bud is rated number one welterweight in the world, and he just arrived there. Bud is the man, pound for pound number one. Yeah, I mean, there's an argument can be made. He's pound for pound number one, but I still kind of edge it a little bit towards Lomachenko. I mean, until Bud can get like, if he gets Garcia, Porter, and Spence, all three of those guys, oh, no questions asked right there. He's definitely pound for pound number one. And then get Thurman if Thurman decides to come back. If he gets all four of those guys, man, there's no question about Dennis Crawford's dominance or his or his pedigree as a fighter. There's no way denying him being a pound for pound number one fighter. I mean, to me, pound for pound number one this year is going to be flip flopped around. You got Crawford, you got Lomachenko, then you got the cruiserweight tournament with the undisputed championship bout between Gassiev and Usyk. That could definitely take that reign. What? Since when do you have Loma over Bud? Come on, Dan. Oh, let me explain. Man. The reason why, because Lomachenko was a little bit more active than Bud. That's the reason why. Bud was been active after the Ndongo fight for a while. And Lomachenko moved up in weight. He captured his third world title. Not only he did that, he beat the number one lightweight, which is Jorge Linares. Tough fight, yes. He got knocked down and he got punched up. Pretty good in that fight against Linares, and that's why I gave Lomachenko the nod. And he does have that pound for pound win against Rigondeaux. And to be fair, I mean he's got Nicholas Walters. He's got Gary. I mean, okay, decent win. Gary Russell Jr., who's now a champion. He's got Nicholas Walters. He's got Rigondeaux. He's got Linares. Crawford's got Gamboa. He's got Beltran, which is a good win. He's got Postal. So it's a tug of war. It's a tug of war. I mean, it's kind of like they're kind of tied at the moment. But again, I'm a slightly edge towards Lomachenko for now. But then again, if Crawford does fight his next opponent before Lomachenko, because Lomachenko's going to be out for a long while. So very subjective list. I agree, Texan. So I might edge it towards. But until Crawford beats another opponent, then maybe I'll put him back in pound number one over a solid edge over Lomachenko at the moment, because it's going to be back and forth between the two at the moment. So let's see. Definitely agree. You give him credit for Rigo? Whoa. Yeah, I do, man. It's a pound for pound win. It's a fight that everyone wanted to see for a long while. I did, favor him to win that fight. I thought it was going to be a tougher fight, but it wasn't for him. So he made it look pretty easy. So I have to give him credit for that win. Yeah, the pound for pound criteria is very subjective, but the consensus is usually Bud or Lomachenko. Yeah, it is. It's definitely that's definitely what it is, Texas. It's like a tug of war between the two. It's either most people have Bud number one or most people have Lomachenko number one. So it's very subjective because Bud's ranked number one in other pound for pound rankings. Lomachenko's ranked number one in other pound for pound rankings. But the Ring magazine got Golovkin rated pound for pound number one. That right there is bizarre. That's bizarre because Golovkin, who had a controversial fight against Danny Jacobs, most people felt he lost that fight. Then he gets a draw against Canelo Alvarez, a fight that he didn't win. So how does he become pound for pound number one after getting a draw? And he hasn't been quite as active. I mean, he knocked out Bonarosian, a guy who's coming off a loss of the 2-year layoff. That gives you pound for pound number one credentials. No. That's very difficult for anyone to justify that. Especially, how can you justify that over Lomachenko's wins over Rigondeaux, Linares, Walters, Russell Jr., and Bud's wins over Gamboa, Beltran, and Postal, and Ndongo, and Horn. So, I mean, come on. That's very difficult to justify that. How Golovkin could be rated pound for pound number one over those guys. Very difficult. Hell, it's very difficult to justify how you rate Golovkin pound for pound number one over Usyk. Alexander Usyk. So it's very difficult to probably put him over him because I think, in my opinion, I think Usyk is going to go. I have him a little bit. I have him rated over Golovkin at this point. I do. Let me see. Yeah, I give him credit for Rigo. I got to says I gave Bud for Gamboa. Yeah, exactly. That exactly, Texas. That's exactly my point. That's exactly what I was going to get into. That's the reason why I gave Lomachenko credit for that win because it is a pound for pound win. If I'm going to give Terrence credit for beating Gamboa, a fight that some people did not favor him to win against a smaller guy, a very good smaller guy, that I got to do the same thing for Lomachenko. Even though Lomachenko was a favorite to beat Rigondeaux, but still a good win is a good win. Gamboa, on the other hand, was favored to beat Crawford. So, you know, so yeah, I mean it's subjective. Some people can argue which win is better. Some would argue that the Rigondeaux win is better than the Gamboa win, or the Gamboa win was a better win for Crawford than it was for the Lomachenko's win over Rigondeaux. Some people can argue that. I mean, it's a debate that some people can have, but we'll see. I mean, we haven't seen Rigondeaux for a long time, but however, we have seen Gamboa been active. Of course, he hasn't really looked the same after that loss to Crawford. So, yeah, we'll see. Yeah, they were. They were both top 10 pound for pound fighters at the time, so they both were good wins, and they were both undefeated. So it is what it is. And it was funny though, because people like to say, well, the Lomachenko fanatics who come out and say that, well, Bud beat an inactive Gamboa. I mean, wasn't Rigondeaux quite inactive as himself as people claim he was? I mean, think about it. Well, no, he had a fight 6 months ago, a fight that was ended in a controversial draw or no contest. Yeah, I get that, but Rigondeaux hasn't been quite as active as he wanted to be. So I mean, come on. I mean, people kind of use that against Crawford because Gamboa was inactive, all that, this, that, and the third. Okay, fair enough. Wasn't Rigondeaux the same way? I mean, all right. I mean, people just have their ways of trying to justify things. And the fact is that Rigondeaux didn't even have a tune-up fight when he went up to fight Lomachenko at 130. All right. Gamboa at least had one fight before he fought Crawford at 135. So let's see. Come on. All right. So we can all play this game all we want to. So I mean, it's still good wins. So like I said, it's a debate on whose win and what win was much better than the other. So we'll see. I mean, Gamboa and Crawford, and Rigondeaux were both gold medalists. They were both unified champions. So the only thing that Rigondeaux has the edge over Gamboa is that Rigondeaux was, rated pound for pound. So that's the edge that he has, that he had over. No, not pound for pound. I'm sorry. They were both pound for pound. The only edge that Rigondeaux has is that he was a lineal champion, and Gamboa was never the lineal champion. So there's a difference between the two. Uh, so you could, so yeah, it's a tug of war. It's a double edged sword between both situations. Yeah. Uh, so yeah, I mean, that's what it is. Yeah, exactly. That's what happened. He couldn't get anyone in his division to fight him, so he had to go up 2 weight classes to get the fight that he needed. I mean, you got to give him props for taking that chance, but it didn't prevail the way it should. So you got to give Lomachenko credit for that win. The one thing I did have to say about that, Lomachenko was trying to save face after that win. He's saying that that's not the best win in my career. Well, at this point, it is to some degree. All right. Yeah, we'll give you credit for the Linares win, but still, though, the Rigondeaux win still stands in some people's views that most people's views that that's Lomachenko's best win so far. So I don't know why Lomachenko was come out and say that. Obviously, he was trying to salvage the any type of criticism he was going to get for fighting a small guy coming up in 2 weight classes. But like I said, I'm not going to fault him for that because every great small guy goes up in weight fight great big men. It's always been that way for years. So I'm not gonna hold Lomachenko to a different standard when it comes to that. So it is what it is. Um, yeah, what else to talk about? There's not much to talk about here. I just want to adjust the Joshua 2 fight deal that he signed with the Wembley. Again, it's all like I said, it's not doesn't address the key points that was made in that article on the World Boxing News. So it only the only thing it would address is that the doubt that I had, I have to admit, that I had about Joshua and Hearn's relationship. So this right here kind of salvaged it to some degree, but again, it doesn't address the fact that Joshua was angry at her for the way he handled the Wilder negotiations. So it doesn't address that. So and it still we still trying to figure out whether the Vivek fight is a steel deal or not. They said they're going to not make an announcement next week. That's what what this report says. It's expected to be Paveckin, and I hope it is, to tell you the truth. So that way everybody can just move on from it, and then then he can get through that fight. Then we'll be cool. But then again, it could be a complete 180. We'll see. Black Lassie said, yeah, Loma felt guilty. That's why he said that it was a dirty win. I wouldn't say it was a dirty win. It's that he didn't want to receive the backlash of beating a small guy. That's what he was trying to do. He was pretty much trying to maintain damage control in that situation. Which I mean, he has no shame of beating a great small man. I mean, look. I'm gonna give you an example. I like to use history as my precursor. I mean, did Mickey Walker? No, not Mickey Walker. I mean, did Harry Graham feel bad for beating Mickey Walker? I mean, a great welterweight, a small guy go up a weight to fight him. Did he feel bad in that situation? Did Marvin Hagler feel bad when he beat Roberto Duran and knocked out Tommy Hearns? No. I mean, look, those guys were middleweights when he fought them, even though they're naturally small men, but he fought them and beat them. So it is what it is. So Lomachenko shouldn't feel bad for beating a great small guy. He shouldn't be guilty. It's a good win. He fought a great small guy and beat him. Yeah, he did. He did redeem himself. He went up and weight and fought a bigger man, and he got dropped in that fight. My opinion, got hurt after being dropped. So found the urgency to beat him and change change his strategy. That was like the fight that he really got punched up. I mean, that's the most hits I ever seen Lomachenko take in a fight, other than the Orlando Salido fight, which is a rematch that never could be made, which is disappointing. It is what it is, and Lomachenko could never get that rematch. And a lot of people like to forget that loss is on his record. So again, it is what it is. Let me see here. I'm looking at the comments here on Boxing Scene. There's few comments that's coming in on this whole Joshua deal. Hopefully, the percentage offer Wilder would be agreeable, and the fight happens on April 22nd of 2019. The fight happening in Wembley saying would make no difference to Wilder. However, Wilder team would probably want to say a lot as to who. Well, let's see. Glad for Joshua. Wembley is a legendary stadium with rich history. Well done and congrats. Wilder has a contract for the second date. He signs it. It is. So now he does. When the contract was sent, before there was no date and venue. Well, that is true. Now he has a date. Now he has a venue. Now he can sign it. So it is there for him to sign. So let's see what happens. And like I said at the earlier this hangout, it does put pressure on him to make that fight happen in Wembley. So we'll see what he does from here. Meanwhile, Wilder has reserved a high school gym in Alabama for his next couple of opponents to Vernon Kevin Johnson. Well, that's very funny. Oh, before I go into that, I got to address the comment here by Fat Apples. Let me bring up that comment because this dude's writing long essays in my comment section. Again, making things up, as always. All right, let's see. Let me bring up that comment because he likes to always make up stuff to discredit Wilder. I know he says he doesn't do that, but he does. He does that a lot. I know he's an AJ, fanatic. He's a Bad Truth fanatic, but he does make up a lot of stuff just to discredit Wilder, which I've debunked on many occasions. I mean, look, we all have a simple disagreement. I mean, Fat Apples to me, he's okay, but again, we all having a conversation. It's nothing to get upset about. So let's take a look here what he wrote. I mean, it was a long essay. We're going to address that comment. Let's see. Fat Apples. All right. It was a previous comment. All right. So he's addressing the situation about the 50 million. We have a debate over that. He still believes it's not real. It was confirmed by Adam Smith of Sky Sports. Even Hearn confirmed it, even by but he confirmed it by even admitting that he still, say, okay, there are some legitimacy to this offer, but he wanted some questions asked to Heyman. So he sent the set of questions over to Heyman along with Espinoza, who got involved in that situation. So the head of CBS and Showtime. So let's see here. All right. Yes, they did, as Fakos refused to state where, when, and why in regards to the $50 million. I think any boxing promoter would, or any other business deals, you would ask for to see a contract. Do you think it's reasonable, unreasonable, Dan? Heard actually stated this well clearly in his recent Fight High interview. Well, okay, all right. Here's my thing. Me personally, I have, if a guy says, okay, let me see the contract, okay, fine. But at the same time, usually terms are agreed upon, right? Terms are usually agreed upon, just like Stevenson initially agreed to terms when he wanted to fight Sergey Kovalev on HBO with part of that 3-fight deal. Let me use that as a precursor. Until Stevenson saw the provisions that was entailed into that contract, he refused to sign. So he opted out of that fight. He said, no, I'm not going to take the fight with Kovalev. Initially, when he was he initially agreed, he verbally agreed to terms to fight him on HBO. That was done on Stevenson's part at that time until in recent years, Kovalev is the one who's been doing the ducking. So I'm going to give you an example right there, Fat Apples, okay? So this is not unusual where a fighter agrees to terms and then when they see the contract, they don't sign it. So it's simple. You can accept the terms. Great. Let me see the contract. I'll review it. I can have an option to decline it right there. So for her to leapfrog that, okay, I know it's nothing to fuss over, but he makes it seem like it's not normal to ask for a contract before you accept the terms. I mean, it's always been that way. There's been many fighters who accepted terms verbally, but they didn't sign, they didn't commit fully because they didn't like the provisions that were entailed in the contracts. Okay. And he went on to say, Fat Apples, as I said earlier, terms were accepted and they were interested. No, they did not accept the terms of Fat Apples. Eddie Hearn never did. He conceded to that. He never accepted the terms at that time for that $50 million deal. He never did. Where'd you get that information? He never accepted that terms. All right, so let's see here. They were interested, but you're not going to say yes to $50 million when the law in New York, where they were presented, states a contract can be made without them looking over knowing what it is. That's not quite accurate. If you're referring to where it states a contract can be made without looking over, of course a contract can be made without you looking over it. But the fact is you have to look over the contract before you can say, okay, I agree to terms with the dotted signature. Okay. Now, if you talk about a verbal commitment, that's one way of saying, okay, I verbally commit to the terms, but that doesn't mean you fully commit until you've signed on the dotted line. Okay. So are you suggesting that the state of New York does state that a verbal commitment is as good as a signed contract? No, there's no law to say that it does. Okay. All right, let's see. I mean, yeah, if you actually know the state law in New York, then you got to present that to me because that's not quite accurate. So it was all a trick, a sham with a 24-hour deadline. Now, I agree with one thing, that 24-hour deadline was a bit strange, but I wouldn't call that quite of a sham if Adam Smith, the head of Sky Sports, which you now acknowledge, he's the one who actually confirmed that this deal is actually legit. He also confirmed that the reason why Hearn and Joshua were reluctant to take on this deal because they don't want to lose their A-side status, which Hearn even admitted. Okay, that's what this is all about. Nothing wrong with that. That's what this is about. So we're going to do what we can to kind of, distort whatever credibility that $50 million offer is, and then we'll try to maintain our A-side status because we worked hard for it. We're not going to give that up. That's what this was all about. Plain and simple. As you stated in this quote that you said to me, this long essay that I'm reading. Now, let me see. Like I said, in my scenario, Dan, you wouldn't just sign anything. Of course not. I just said, look, if you actually read what I said, look, the scenario you gave me, if you ask me personally, I'm offering you $50 million, accept the terms, and then we'll send you a contract. Would you do that? Absolutely. I said, okay, I accept the terms. Let me see the contract. I'll sign it. Let me see it. I'll review the terms and we'll get back to you and I'll sign it. Plain and simple. Okay? So how is that difficult? Why is it so difficult to say that? It's done. It's been done many times in boxing. I just don't understand why people make this seem as it's been abnormal. This has always been the norm. Okay. All right. So you just wouldn't sign anything. Okay. Like I said, they weren't asking Hearn to just sign anything. All they asked for him to set the terms, and then they'll send him a drafted contract. That's all they asked him to do. It could say that AJ, you have to wear high heels in the contract. The money is worth. Well, here's the thing, Fat Apples. How do you know the scenarios? I mean, it seems like you have inside information on this whole situation. That's why I find it bizarre about your statements. Again, how do you know all this information? I mean, I know you give me all these scenarios, but do you have a degree in business? Because I know I do. I know how to read contracts. I know how to accept terms and not accept terms. But come on, let me see. Oh yeah, let me get to Stevenson and Vosdick, that purse bid situation. Texan, give me 1 second. I gotta go through this comment here. He sent me a long essay. And then he went to Wilder's record, which I found a bit bizarre. Anyways, which kind of throws things off topic here, but it is what it is. Let's see here. This is standard business ethics. Okay, I don't know what that means, but all right, whatever. AJ is the A side. Let's keep that in mind. Exactly. That's the key point. He wants to keep the A side status, so that's why they were doing what they can to kind of undermine that $50 million offer. That's what they were trying to do. This is what this is all about, maintain their A side position. Besides, this is old news. Yeah, what you brought up anyway. And much more negotiations were made out, after this offer, including Wilder agreeing to financial service, so that's irrelevant testimony. Now moving on. Heyman clearly asked AJ where he wants to fight, the UK and the US. Really? Where did Heyman ask AJ where he wants to fight? Where did Heyman ever say that? Did Al Heyman put out a statement? Because the last time I checked, he doesn't put out statements, nor he does any interviews. Where did Al Heyman put out a statement and ask AJ where he wants to fight? Where did he say that? I mean, wow, okay. All right. So the UK or the US, AJ fans came down on him for originally leaning towards Vegas, but then realized that the fans made him for what he is today. And after a lot of pressure and the word sellout was being used. Well, that's a fair point. Now, let's be real. It was Eddie Hearn that made AJ. Yes, the fans came there and they saw AJ. Eddie Hearn is the one that made Anthony Joshua for who he is today. The fans, on the other hand, they helped his popularity through social media, yes. But Eddie Hearn was the guy who made AJ to be the star that he is. That's all it is. I wouldn't say the fans was the ones who made AJ. It was Eddie Hearn who made that guy. Yeah, he was the one who built his career. Of course, AJ is the one who capitalized on it, but yeah, so that's not quite as accurate. Anyways, it is a fair point that you point out that he was getting slammed after he said he was going to go fight Vegas. So, and that's why he had to backtrack. But let's be real here. It's all about having the advantages here because a lot of guys are afraid that maybe yourself is kind of a little afraid if AJ steps outside the UK, his chances of winning a fight against Wilder are very slim. I know some people have their, the reservations about that. Okay, fair enough. But the point is that the man needs to have all his advantages to win a fight. That's what it is. That's what A-side people tend to do. Look at Floyd Mayweather. Excellent example. We all know that. All right, so let's see. But then realized the sellout became the right decision. Picking the UK is good for the sport. So there's any hope of the $50 million, which PBC stated they would need to happen in Vegas, so they recoup the money they lost. Well, absolutely. Vegas makes a lot more money in the UK. Even despite the stadium fights, Vegas fights make a lot more revenue. Joshua and Hearn knew that. That's why they were keen on fighting in Vegas for the Klitschko rematch. You know what's funny, though? I didn't see any of you, Fat Apples, anyone else. It's a good thing I brought that up. I didn't see any of you mind about AJ fighting Klitschko in Vegas for the rematch before he decided to retire. I didn't see none of you guys come out and objected to that. Why is it when it comes to Wilder, when the proposed idea for them to fight in Vegas, which it seems like Joshua and Hearn will kind of be on board with, you guys seem to have a problem with that. Why? Why the double standard? Again, it goes back to the confidence. Are you sure, or do you believe that Joshua could beat Wilder in the States? Because you sure as hell believe that he could beat Klitschko in the States. I find that a bit bizarre right there. But anyways, moving along here. I'm going to get through all this because this is long as hell. Let me see. So like I said, it's old news, but you wrote a long ass essay though. No $50 million, so we have to. It is a $50 million deal. I don't know why you trying to discredit that, Fat Apples. I don't know why you tried so hard, bro. But you're making a lot of stuff up here to some degree. Now we have to move on, even though the same Thickles were preaching that he turned down 50 million. Yeah, he did turn it down. Joshua admitted that he turned it down. He said himself that look, great offer, but I'm not going to sell my soul. Why did he say that? Because he did not want to lose his A side advantage. If the $50 million offer was fake, then Anthony Joshua would have said it was fake. All right. Eddie Hearn confirmed it wasn't fake. He just had some reservations about him losing his A side advantage over that situation. That's what it's all about. Oh my goodness. It's very simple logic. Okay. Let's see. I'll get to Adonis in a second, guys. I gotta read this quote here. I never heard advising AJ to put off the fight. Well, according to that World Boxing News article that came out yesterday, it did. In fact, his father, Barry Hearn, actually came out and said it. All right, he's the one who came out and told AJ to put off that fight for another year. And not only was it Barry Hearn who said it, other people came out and chimed in. Outside factors is Teddy Atlas and Roy Jones Jr. They feel that he's not ready for that fight. I'll give you a source, so let me post it in the link below for you, Fat Apples. So you can take a look at it. If you're going to listen to this string, let's see. Next year, let's take a look. Barry Hearn. Here it is, May 8th. May 8th, 2018, Barry urges Anthony Joshua to reject Deontay Wilder fight. This is what it is. I'm not sure if you caught up with anything, Fat Apples. I mean, seriously. So there's a lot of catching up to do. Let me go ahead and give you the link to that article. I'll post it PR. In fact, yeah, let me post it in my live stream so that way you can take a look at it in the live stream. All right. Let me do this. Let's talk about it. Barry Hearn urging Joshua off Wilder fight. All right. Here goes your link. All right, there we go. Of course, you're gonna find a way to justify why Barry Hearn suggested that Joshua do that. But okay, let's continue. There's your source. It's not BS. I put it in. So take a look at my live stream hangout. If you're listening to this, it's right there. If you're scraping the barrel of picking up Dan. Well, it's funny though, because you're the guy who said that Deontay Wilder ducked Charles Martin. I mean, that was one of the most bizarre things I've ever heard. Okay. They never even came close to signing a deal to a fight. Okay, even Charles Martin manager even came on record and said that we was hoping we could make a Wilder fight, but the fact that Wilder was already tied up with the Vacates situation, we decided that we wanted to move on to other things. They didn't even come close to negotiating for a fight. So that was one of the most bizarre BS things I ever heard from you, Fat Apples, that you made up. All right, seriously. So let's see here. I'm about to be done here, guys, because I got to get to work soon. All right, so let's see here. If you're scraping the barrel, blah blah blah. What said months ago? AJ mentioned 2019. Then that was laughable. Yeah, we all know that infamous interview for Sky that Johnny Nelson even looked at him with a quizzical look and say, "Wait a minute, how are you gonna say that as a world champion that you're gonna put off a fight for another 2 years? You're a unified champion. How are you going to sit there and say that? That's bizarre. That's something you say behind closed doors. You don't say that from publicly, about you saying that I'm not sure I'm going to take this fight now, or my other shoulder says I'm going to take the fight now, but I'm going to do it when I'm ready. Really? You just fought Klitschko. What do you mean you're not ready? you know? Now, according to sources, I heard AJ said this to act weak and try to get every tactic. Yeah, some of your sources, right? Who are those sources? Who are those sources by Apples? To get wild in the ring is a standard psychological move that poker players play. People like Klitschko would use on to feign weaknesses when one of the really strongest. Okay. Two, do you really think if he wanted to fight in 2020, then why is Matchroom chase Wilder halfway around the world trying to meet and talk contracts, approach him for the fight, or offer contract after contract? Well, look, that's fair enough. That's fair enough. They are doing that. I'll give them credit for that. But you also should give credit that Wilder's team has been trying to make that fight as well. They both been trying to offer each other, counter offer each other. Have you missed that? Have you forgotten that, Fat Apples? Wilder's team is not the only one that's waiting for contracts to be sent to them. They've even sent contracts over to Joshua's team. Why do you think that $50 million offer was made? They've done it. And yet they even, gave a little bit of concessions in it as well. So they've done it. And yes, Hearn and in Matchroom, they've worked hard because they're trying to make sure that Wilder does not. They're trying to get him to come over because they know that they can't. They're trying to maintain their A-side advantage in the UK. That's what they're trying to do. They're trying to do what they can to prevent that fight happening in the US. Now that Steven Espinosa and Showtime's getting in the way of that, that's going to make things more difficult when it comes to not only that situation, but the TV rights. Yeah, that's what's happening. But what part does you not understand that Matchroom and Eddie Hearn does not want to fight? That's fanboy talk. Well, I mean, I don't know why you call me a fanboy, but the fact is you're the biggest fanboy there is, Fat Apples, because you distort information, you omit information, and you make things up. And you're known to do that. All right. This is no disrespect towards you, but that's what you always done when it comes to Wilder or comes to fighters that you don't like. All right. Like Gennady Golovkin. I saw a comment somewhere in a hangout that you're defending Golovkin's great win over Marco Antonio Rubio. Really? Golovkin's great win over Marco Antonio Rubio. I mean, I saw that comment on a hangout on one of the hangouts you had somewhere. I mean, I'm not making this up. You did say that. Okay. All right. Let me see. Joe said, like, come on, bro. Come on. Duck it, Charles Martin. Hey, that's what the guy told me last time. I was laughing at that when he told me that. Wow, I want my debate now. Oh, yeah, Rock, what's up, man? Yeah, we were supposed to debate on Holyfield and Lewis. Yeah, we're definitely going to do that. Definitely a tough debate, but we're going to definitely do that. Definitely going to do that debate. So I'll hit you up and let you know when we're going to do that one, because I think that's a good debate that we should have. Yeah, let me get to this right here before I head off here. What else did he say? Let me see. Team Wilder never once approached Matchroom to make the fight. Yeah, they did. Where have you been? They have. They have approached to make the fight. They have. Shelly Finkel's has even put out information and emails that the communication they've sent after the Ortiz fight. They have. What are you talking about? I mean, have you? Again, you're omitting information, bruh. I know you don't like Deontay Wilder. I know you don't like BBC. You don't like Heyman. I know that, but stop omitting information. Stop distorting information, please. It's that simple, bruh. Oh my God. Yeah, I know. You guys think it's ridiculous, but I know I got to read this to you guys. I got to read this. All right. Let me see. They never approached to make the fight, and Hearn is only talking about it on social media. Of course, everybody's talking about it on social media. That itself shows the intentions that one team who don't speak at all. When people like Lou DiBella gets asked 2 questions, he gets flustered and says the wrong thing. And Finkel only makes 1 statement per week, but never does any interviews. I mean, okay. There's nothing wrong doing interviews, but the problem is that Eddie is contradicting himself in every single interview that he gets. No one's going to have a problem with him going out there and speaking on social media, if that's what you're suggesting. Nobody has a problem with him doing that. The only problem is that he's not staying on message. Is one day he says that, this happened, this, that, and the third, and then the next day he says something totally different that contradicts what he says. That's why people have a problem with him of whether he's being honest or not. Like with this whole Joshua Pavecka situation, he's the one put out a interview that says that, well, I advise Joshua not to take the Pavecka fight. I'd rather him wanted to go with the Wilder fight. That's what he says. And then this article on this other article came out and says, oh, there you are, Fat Apples. And this article comes out and says that, well, actually, it was Hearn that pushed the WBA to get that fight made. So I find that a bit strange. And this is right after the eve that Wilder's team announced that they're going to send their signed contract over to him. The WBA puts out this mandate. I find that somewhat odd, but it is what it is. Let's see. What else we got here? Eddie gets asked about 1,000 questions every week on the matter. Yeah, and he changes his tune every single time. So this is where all the contradictions come in. And how's it 100% meant to add up when the media twist their own questions? Well, some guys who are independent media will twist their own questions. So yeah, I get where you're coming from there. And news that he gets from Team Wilder changes. And so he has to change his narrative and explain it over and over again. Well, Team Wilder is not the one who's getting Eddie Hearn to contradict himself. Eddie Hearn is the one who contradicts himself every time he's asked the same question. Again, it goes back to the fact is one day he answers one question, and then when the same question was presented to him the second day, or the following day, he gives a different answer. And this is where people are scratching their heads and raising their eyebrows and wondering, does this man has a credibility issue? What's going on here? You know? So you went on to say, so why is this fight not happening? Well, Eddie's story and IFL fight match, so the liar kid BS can stop and Team Wilder look like the duck artist. Well, question for you, Fat Apples. Do you believe everything that Eddie Hearn says? Honest question. Do you really believe he's honest about everything that he says? Because if you believe that, then that's really being naive to believe that every promoter is going to be honest. No, let's be realistic. Every promoter and manager is not going to be honest. And yes, Finkel, that includes Degale, that includes whoever, even Don King. They're never honest, okay? And they'll admit that they're not going to be honest. But do you really believe that Eddie Hearn is genuinely honest all the time? Are you really believe that? Honest question. But again, it goes back to being naive if you believe that, because he hasn't really been quite honest in some occasions. Not just this whole situation with the Wilder and Joshua ordeal. There was one instance where he said that he was adamantly trying to make the Kell Brook and Errol Spence fight at one point, and then he was trying to suggest that Errol Spence team didn't want it. And then when Errol Spence team had heard that comment, they fired back at her and said, well, wait a minute, hold up. Why are you telling a false narrative here? We're the ones who actually reported you about the fight. We've asked you about making that fight happen. What are you talking about? And Jessica McCaskill and Katie Taylor. Let's talk about that one for a second. Okay. From what I've heard, Hearn's team, actually, there was a video I was put out by someone. Hearn or somebody's representative match who said that they were trying to make that Jessica McCaskill fight for a while now. And then Team McCaskill never responded. And Rick Ramos, I got to get an interview to do that. I forgot to give him an interview. Rick Ramos, who's Jessica McCaskill's manager and trainer, he came out and blasted Hearn in matchroom for saying, wait a minute, hold up. We're the ones who've been trying to get that fight with Katie Taylor for a long time now. What are you talking about? We've been reaching out to you. So who's being honest? I mean, Hearn has a history of doing some missteps. Now, I'm not saying I don't disrespect him. He's a great promoter. I respect what he's doing. I've defended Eddie Hearn on my channel on many occasions, even though some people don't like that I've done so. I have. So, yes. Okay. Wow. Now, number one, why does it take 12 days to respond to a standard terms or contract? Well, it's funny you say that, Bad Apples. Why is it taking a week now to announce that the Pavecka fight is finalized? It's almost 2 weeks now. So, what's going on with that? It's been 2 weeks now, and that fight was supposed to be finalized. What's going on there? And yeah, they responded to standard terms, but they still haven't finalized. So yeah, I can understand where you're coming from on that. But you have to understand, when you send out a term contract, especially when it comes to a sporting contract, you have to get all the representatives involved. You have to get lawyers involved. They have to look over the terms and conditions. It could take some time, even though it doesn't really take 12 days. But the fact is that Finkel came out and says, well, wait a minute, we responded accordingly. We were waiting for her to get back to us on that we had a set of questions that we need to address regarding the terms. So again, there's two people telling two sides of the story now. It's your decision to believe who you want to believe. I know you want to believe Eddie Hearn because you don't like Wilder and Finkel, but that's up to you, bruh. So you can't really tell. Who's telling the truth in that situation because Eddie Hearn says one thing, then Shelly Finkel says another. So it's up to you to decide who you want to believe. Okay. Now Finkel has dealt with before under managing people like Klitschko and then only mustered 2 sticking points. Actually, 3 sticking points. It was the rematch clause, the venue, and the date. All right. Anyways, especially the second term, which basically was requesting that he only gets a rematch if he loses. No, he didn't request that. He requested that both sides get a rematch. The only thing he requested is that if he wins, then AJ still can request a rematch, but he's going to have to take the B-side demands, which means he gets the lower split that I got him in our first fight, and I take the higher split. I get to choose the venue and the date. That's what he requested. Okay. Now, number 2, why the rest of the social media, other fan bases across the world, quite hopefully adamant that the fight was going to be made last month, or 2, when with Hearn's updates on social media looking positive, but strangely, the Heyman paid LWBC channels kept the prerogative that the fight won't happen and Wilder should move on when it looked like the fight was going to be made. Really? Well, I am not too fond of that, but all I know is that if the updates were positive, which I admit they were pretty positive, but the fact is that let's be honest here. When Shelly Finkel addressed the dates, right? His only thing is that again those 3 sticking points, the venue, date, and the rematch clause. All right, when those things were addressed, the date was put out by Hearn. He said the date would be next year, which is voila, April 2019. Okay, so the whole narrative of this fight happening this year was not going to be that situation because Hearn said, "Look, the fight's going to happen next year." So that's probably why they came out and said, "Well, the fight won't happen at all this year." They never said it was going to never happen at all. Period. I know some probably going to say, yeah, Wilder should move on and resume the rest of his career. But at the same time, so suggests that, some of them said that the fight won't happen this year, but it will happen next year. They want to happen right away as soon as possible. They don't want to wait. All right. So that's a problem. Now, let's see here. Clearly, they knew the fight was never going to take place regardless of what those wrestlers were saying. That's pretty bizarre what you said there. Again, the fight was not going to happen this year anyway. It was going to happen next year. Plain and simple. Hearn even said that when he announced the date before this whole Wembley deal came about this morning. Okay? Now, 3, if you're a fighter who states legacy, then why turn down 2.5 times your biggest purse and you fight a top 5 fighter? Well, yeah, that's the same question that could be asked for Joshua. Why turn down the biggest purse of his career, the biggest purse that anyone's ever seen in a long while? Why would you turn that down? Fair enough. As I stated in my last video, they both turned down the biggest purses, and one should not be neglected over the other. They both turned down their biggest purses, and they both should be criticized for that. Plain and simple. All right. Why is Wilder now currently asked for 50-50 again? Now, I already stated why he asked for 50-50, which I don't agree with. The reason why he's asking for that is because now Eddie Hearn or Anthony Joshua, they want to dictate the terms at 100%. They only want to choose the venue and the location, which Wilder has no problem with. Now they're saying that I get to dictate the rematch clause, which some fighters have done, like Canelo with Gennady Golovkin. That's fine. And, Joseph Parker, he recently did that with Joseph Parker. I get to choose the referee. I get to choose the judges. And then Wilder say, okay, if you want to dictate every single thing in this negotiation process, then you need to give me 50-50 for me to accept. So, again, I gotta say, well, Wilder's coming from his own principle standpoint, but I don't agree that he should go for that. I felt that was a bad move for him to suggest that. Okay, so why? There you go. I've already addressed that point. I don't agree with him doing that. I think that's a bad PR move in my opinion, so it is what it is. Using common logical sense proves that he clearly doesn't want the fight. Well, it's fair to say that logical sense proves that AJ and Hearn don't want the fight unless it's on their terms. Plain and simple, when they rejected that $50 million deal. So you got to be fair here, Fat Apples. You got to be fair. Well, if you believe that $50 million offer was bullshit, then Adam Smith, you may that you're saying that Adam Smith. Well, tell that to Adam Smith, plain and simple, because he says it was real, it was legit. He verified it himself. This is the head of Sky, so come on. You guys want to believe that because you didn't believe Wilder could come up with the money to do it, and he did. And now you guys are trying to undermine that. So let's be realistic, guys. Okay, let's be realistic. I remember a time when people said that Floyd Mayweather was asking for $100 million or so for a fight against Manny Pacquiao. People thought he was crazy to ask for that amount of money, and he eventually got that. You know, so it is what it is. Let's see. Champ Ross, what's going on, man? It's been a long time. It's been saying for months now that Wilder versus Brazil, Joshua Vacates was a one-off fight before they built. Yeah, we all knew that. I mean, let's be real. But again, what I'm still kind of skeptical about that, both fights has never been announced yet. So that's what I'm a little worried about that. So I'm like, what's going on there? Let's see. Wilder will fight Kornacki after Brazil. They moved to cruiserweight. Well, first of all, I don't see that Kornacki fight ever happening. I mean, if it's going to happen, it's going to be later. I mean, Kornacki's not a bad fighter, but the fact is if is he ready for a world title fight? No. Real is in the U.S., not the U.K. That was confirmed. Who's real? That's clock. Okay. If you think it was bullshit, then hey, that's you guys' opinion. But the fact is, if that funds were verified by actual credible sources, so you guys can say that much as you want to, but I'm sorry, guys, it is what it is. The whole point of that is that AJ's trying to maintain his A side advantage. I mean, let's be honest, that's what you guys want him to do. Maintain your A side advantage no matter what, even if you have to undermine that offer to be not legit. Hey, perfect strategically. So it is what it is. So let me read the rest of this. Whoa, this is a long essay he wrote to me, man. Let's see. Let me see. The 50-50 after agreeing for $50 million. 7 times more was a nail in the coffin of a duck. Why not? On 2 adjusted terms that could be easily amended by turning around and say $15 million crackhead money, especially after he accepted it. They pulled away to fight another load of happened cupcakes like Brazil, which hasn't been announced yet, Fat Apples, and Kornacki, the 2 fights. And how do you know that Kornacki is his other opponent after Brazil? Where's your evidence of that, Fat Apples? Where's your evidence of that? JD, Adam Smith, check him out, please. He did an interview with IFL. Or actually, it was Fight Hype, I believe. He confirmed it. Steven Espinoza of Showtime, head of Showtime. Why would he make that up? Why would Steven Espinoza and Adam Smith make that up? Okay, so you made that up, Fat Apple. So you say you just you just made that up. Okay, thank you. You admit that. All right, cool. All right, so let's move on to this. Let's see. Let's see. Let's see. Let's do fights like he's been doing for his whole career. If you don't believe me, look at this. All right, let's look at all his list of opponents. His first fight to his 40th. Okay. Well, if we could do that, let's go through the Anthony Joshua resume. Even though I think Anthony Joshua's resume is a lot better than Wilder's, but let's go through his resume. Who he fought. He's fought more undefeated fighters coming up as a prospect. Got to give Joshua credit for that, and as a world champion. But let's see. Paul Butlin, Emilio Leo, they're all ranked up to RJ Drock, Hector of Avila, Matt Legg, Matt Skelton. I guess that was a step-up fight from a domestic level. Constantine Ulrich, Dennis Boychoff, Michael Sprott. Yeah, Michael Sprott, Jason Gavin, Deontay Wilder left over. Rafael Sapano Love, Shannon Briggs left over. Um, let's see here. Kevin Johnson. Yeah, definitely a Vitaly Klitschko leftover, but a good step up fight for Anthony Joshua. I give him credit for that. Gary Cornish, undefeated fighter. Okay, decent win. Unranked, by the way. Kevin Johnson was ranked what 25th, I believe. Dillian White, good domestic level fight. Ranked 21. Charles Martin, paper champion. Okay, but he was ranked in the top 5. I get that. Dominic Brazil was ranked number 19th, but now he's a top 10 fighter. Eric Molina, Deontay Wilder leftover. Okay. Vladimir Klitschko, yes, good win. A Hall of Fame win. No question about that. All right. Let's move on. Carlos Takam, once a top 10 opponent, but he was ranked number 19th when he fought Joshua, even though that was a mandatory replacement. Got to give Joshua credit for that. Joseph Parker, very good win. Top 10 heavyweight, top 5. All right. But still, though, Joshua's resume is still better, though. Either way. Yeah, I know. That's what I just said, Chad Ross. He's fought a lot more undefeated opponents than Wilder. So I did say that. Who did Wilder beat other than Ortiz was undefeated? Okay, there was Calvin. There was Kelvin Brock, I believe. Was it Kelvin Brock or Kelvin Price? Yeah, Kelvin Price. Let me see. Kelvin Price. And who was the other undefeated fighter that Wilder fought that he beat? I'm sorry. Hold up. Never mind. It was Kelvin Price he beat, who was undefeated. Of course, he had Luis Ortiz, who Joshua ducked, by the way. Let's see. Gerald Washington. So I think that's about it. Those are 3 of them. Yeah, like I said, Anthony Joshua's resume is better than Wilder's. I have said that many times. So yeah. Yeah, so Wilder's undefeated opponents he beat was Washington, Ortiz, and Kelvin Price. Those are the 3 undefeated fighters that he beat. Next question. Let's see. Well, I mean, if you want to go to his, I'm looking at his record entirety. If you want to look at his entire career, those are not his only 3 undefeated fighters he beat. He beat Shannon Gray in his second pro fight, who was undefeated with a 1-0 record. It is. He's undefeated. Jerry Vaughn, 2-0. And then Shannon Cueto, who was 9-0-1. And Damian McCrary, who was undefeated, but he was a blown up super middleweight, who was undefeated. So actually, Wilder defeated 5 undefeated fighters. 5. But of course, who did it at a faster time? Anthony Joshua did. So let's be real. Anthony Joshua did it at a much faster time than Wilder. So yeah, definitely Anthony Joshua gets the edge in that department. Clear edge. So let's see. Washington Ortiz, I'll give him credit, but Price was a joke. Well, let's be real. Price was an upcoming prospect. It was a fight between 2 prospects that people wanted to see for a while, Wilder and Price. And they thought Price was going to be a good test for Wilder. Of course, that wasn't the case until Wilder really knocked him out, badly knocked him out. So, yeah, of course, Price was never the same fighter after that. Obviously, he never lived up to expectations after that fight. So, I mean, at the time, it was a good, decent fight. It was a good fight for Wilder coming up. But again, yeah. Yeah, I did, Roscott. But the fact is that the question was presented to me by Champ Ross, who undefeated fighters that Wilder beat. That's all I said. He beat 5 undefeated fighters. That was the question. Yes, the guys that I named were not great fighters. I know that, but he just asked me the question. That's all it was. Washington stoppage was bad as a Takam stoppage. What do you mean by that, Fat Apples? What do you mean? I mean, the Takam stoppage was controversial. Are you saying the Washington stoppage was controversial? Really? I mean, Washington, if that's what you're applying, I mean, Washington was out on his feet when he got knocked down with that right in that 5th round. Are you sure about that? Look at that fight again, man, because Washington was out on his feet. He was out. I mean, Takam was nowhere being close to being knocked out in that fight. Yes, he was losing the fight, but he was nowhere being knocked out. Yes, when Joshua started to unload his combinations, but he was missing those combinations, and the referee just jumped in and stopped the fight. That was unjust. Clearly unjust. So well, I mean, I don't know what fight were you watching, Fat Apples? That way Wilder really put him out on his feet. I don't know what fight you were watching, bro. I mean, seriously, Fat Apples, look at the fight again. Seriously, did you see Gerald Washington stagger across the ring after the referee jumped in and stopped him? Did you really watch the fight? Just be honest. Did you really watch that fight? Washington is local over here where I live. Honestly, it wasn't a good win to be real. Uh, you, is Taco a better fighter than Washington? Yeah, absolutely is. No question about it. He is. No question about it. Is Taco fighting Chisora now? Yeah, that fight signed to deliver. I mean, I would expect Taco to win it, but if Chisora wins that fight, wow. Wada was swinging and Wiley missing. All right, Fat Apples. If, I hope I don't get a copyright strike for this, but we're gonna watch that. Let's watch it together. Let's see. Let's bring that fight up. Wilder knocking out Gerald Washington. Let's bring that up. Let's see. All right, so hold up here. I'm gonna share my screen. We're gonna look at this. All right. No. We're gonna look at it together. Hold up, Bad Apples. We're gonna look at that. Look at it together. So let's see. Are you from Union City, Champ Ross? Oh, there you from the Bay. All right, that's cool. That's where actually no, Tupac was in Marin City. My bad. Yeah, it was a stoppage, but he was out on his feet. Let's look at it, okay? All right. We're gonna look at it together, Champ Ross. I mean, Fat Apples. I mean, seriously, man. I mean, I like you, but come on, man. We're gonna screen share this together, man, because we're gonna see what you're talking about here before I head off to work. So let's see. All right, so here we go. Everybody looking at the screen now? Hold on. Here we go. So let's look at it one more time. Here it is. Okay. Here's the fifth round. Yeah, Washington's backing him to the rope. I'll say he's establishing position with his jab. Wilder coming in with a sweeping left hook. Of course, Wilder won the last round before this round, obviously, to get back into the fight. Of course, the scorecards were a little bit dodgy after after the stoppage. So yeah, let's see. Which I could admit because I had Washington win this fight 4 rounds to 1. So let's see. Here he goes. Wilder's starting to figure out his timing a little bit at the fourth round by putting a little pressure on him. Now establishing the ring position with the jab. If a high guard. So here we go. Here we go. It's gonna come up right here. Boom. Okay, there's Washington right there. He says he's okay. All right, watch. Look at Washington. Boom. Boom. Left hook. Boom. 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 Left hook. Ooh. That was it. Look at him. Look at him stagger across the ring, Fat Apples. Look at him. are you are you seriously? Okay, I gotta stop this right here. Well, seriously, Fat Apples, what are you talking about, man? Oh, Jesus Christ. Did you not see him stagger across the ring after he was stopped like that? I mean, oh my God. Oh my goodness. Did you not see that crunchy left hook that Wilder put on him that really staggered him across the ring? That's where the referee jumped in. Oh man. Oh, Fat Apples, what are you talking about, man? I mean, I know you don't like Wilder, but come on, I just showed you right there. How was that a bad stoppage? That was a legit stoppage right there. I mean, seriously.
Oh my goodness, you guys are. You, uh, AJ would have done the same thing to Washington. Let's not pretend Washington was some killer. We never said Washington was a killer. At the time, he was a decent heavyweight when Wilder fought him. What I mean, come on. Because let's not rip credit away from Wilder for being an undefeated heavyweight coming up. Okay, besides, that was a fight people wanted to see before Wilder was coming back and fight. Before Wilder announced his comeback fight against Andrew Warzik, which is a fight that people didn't like, and I didn't like that fight myself because I actually voiced my displeasure for that fight be made. So Washington stepped in, so that was a better fight. Yeah, exactly. That was a good win. Exactly, that was a good win for Wilder. Why is people trying to take away credit for Wilder for beating Washington? I mean, that was a fight people wanted to see. I'm not saying it was a stellar fight, but that was still a fight that people wanted to see when Gerald Washington was coming up in the weights. Ducked Warzik. See, you really fat apples. I mean, did you realize? I know you trolling with that comment, but did you realize that Andrew Warzik failed the drug test? He failed the PED test going into the Wilder fight. Did you know that? That's why that fight got called off, and that's why Washington stepped in as a replacement. For you guys, it was a good win. Who did Washington beat? I mean, he beat Eddie Chambers. A good win. I mean, he had a tough fight against Amir Mansour, which was a draw. He didn't win that fight. Okay. So I mean, look, Gerald Washington was a good heavyweight coming up, man. A good heavyweight coming up. Besides, I mean, Big Baby Miller. I mean, isn't Big Baby Miller's best wins against Gerald Washington? Deontay Wilder left over? Come on, seriously. Let's see. Yes, I did. Failed it like Povetkin, you mean? Blah, blah, blah. But yeah, you say Wilder ducked the fight when that guy failed the drug test. All right, whatever, fat apples. Miller ducking, pull in for fuck's sakes. Yeah, he is. He is. What's funny about Povetkin failing 2 drug tests on 2 different drugs? I mean, I didn't say it was funny. Oh, you talking about Fat Apples? Okay, yeah. Well, Fat Apples believes that was all a conspiracy, Mr. Rocco. So that's what he wants to believe. Then that's his prerogative. I mean, he feels that that's a conspiracy, but yet no one told Povetkin to take Meldonium when it was banned, and no one told him to take Osterine and going into that Stavern fight. Okay, so let's all right. Let's not get it twisted. Let me see where Big Baby Miller. Wah wah wah. I mean, Fat Apples. Rasclot. What I'm telling you is that Big Baby Miller's best win is one of his best wins is against Gerald Washington, the same fighter that people are criticizing Deontay Wilder for beating. They don't want to give Wilder credit for that win, but yet Big Baby Miller gets credit for beating fucking Gerald Washington. That's what I'm trying to tell you. In fact, Big Baby Miller is so legit that his best wins are against leftover opponents of Deontay Wilder. I mean, come on. Wbss, Washington, except for Marius Walk, which is leftover from Povetkin and Klitschko. But, other than that, come on. He gets no credit, but you do think he's a legitimate opponent for AJ, though, right, Fat Apples? Is Miller a legitimate opponent for AJ? Yes or no? Is he? Is he? When did I say that Wilder ducked Miller? When did I say that? How did Deontay Wilder duck Big Baby Miller? How? How did he duck that fight? I don't get what you're saying. So Fat Apples, answer my question: is Miller a tough opponent? Is he a credible opponent for AJ if AJ was going to fight him? Because that was the plan. I didn't see you object to Big Baby Miller's resume for when AJ was planning to fighting the guy. I'm not talking about you, Fat Apples. I'm talking about Ross Clot. Ross Clot, the one who said that Wilder ducked Miller. I didn't say you. I said Ross Clot. If I said you, that was by accident. I didn't mean to say your name. I said Ross Clot. I'm asking you, is Miller a credible opponent for AJ? If you think his resume is bad, he gets no credit for it, then in that case, was he a credible opponent for AJ if AJ fought him? And what fighter did Wilder duck that Miller gets props for? Marius Walk? Is that the fighter you're talking about? What fighter are you talking about, Ross Clot? I'm confused. I'm confused. Oh, okay. See, okay, Ross Clot, you say Miller is credible, but he will get beat by AJ. So let me get this straight. So Miller's resume is not that good, but yeah, he's a credible opponent for AJ. I don't get that logic. I really don't understand you guys' logic. I really don't understand. In my opinion, none of these guys in the rankings are credible, not even fighting each other. Well, I mean, that's a good point. Let me see. Rasclaw said, Fat Apple says, not in my opinion, is Miller a credible name. So is he a credible name? So he's not a credible name if AJ fought him, right? So if AJ fought him and beat him, then he's not credible, correct? Is that what you're saying, Fat Apples? If so, then if AJ does announce that he's going to fight Big Baby Miller, don't backtrack. Do not backtrack and do not give AJ credit for fighting him if he were to announce that he's going to fight him. No. That's not the question I'm asking you, Fat Apples. I'm asking you if AJ were to fight Miller, will you give him credit for fighting him? That's what I'm asking you. Will you answer my well, Fat Apples, can you answer my question, please? If he were to announce that he's going to fight Big Baby Miller, are you going to give him credit for fighting him? All right, so you're not going to answer my question. See, Fat Apples, come on, man. If you want to be objective, you say you're not a fanboy, then you got to be objective here because you're discrediting Miller, right? Because you feel he's not that good of an opponent because he's beating Wilder leftovers. Then if AJ fights him and now say he's going to fight him down the road, then will you give him credit? That's what I'm asking you. Now, Rascal, at least Rascal is going to answer the question. He said, look, I'll give AJ credit for any win since Wilder got credit for Ariella. Okay, fair enough. Rascal answered the question. I'm asking you, Fat Apples, will you give him credit for beating Miller? Since you feel that Miller's not a credible guy. So at least I can respect Rascal. He'll answer the questions. He'll answer. right, guys. I'm going to wrap this up because I got to get to work. It was fun chat with y'all. It's fun chat with y'all. See some stuff here. Oh, Peter Quillen versus Jalen Love is set for August 4th. Really? That's an interesting fight. So Peter Quillen's going up to super middleweight. Well, we all knew he had trouble making that weight anyway for a while now. So, well, let's see what he does at super middleweight against Jalen Love. But I never really ranked Jalen Love that highly anyway. So I thought I was going to put out a quick announcement about that. Or Jalen Love is a TMT fighter if he's still with TMT. You know, but the fact is that that's just want to let you guys know that fight's been announced. So, anyways, a difficult question, Dan. I would say no because AJ has been fighting better opponents every time, so Miller would be a backward step. Okay, I'm gonna have you on record. So, if he announces he's gonna fight Miller and he beats him, do not give him credit for that win. Don't do it because I will come after you if you do that. All right. But in a fun way, in a respectful way, man. But I'm just saying, I'm going to hold you to that. As Joho says, shades of low place from Apples. What would you say about Wilder fight Miller, Dan? I'll give him credit. I rate Big Baby Miller, even though he's overweight and, he doesn't take it. He's not really quite disciplined enough, but I rate him. He's a good heavyweight. He can prove to be very formidable. So I rate him. Even though skill set wise, people look the other way around, but I still rate him. Let me see. But Dan, look at the division. Once he beats Povetkin and Wilder, who else? Low Place has good box knowledge. He's beat Dan in many debates. Nah, he hasn't beat me in many debates, Ross Cloud. Why are you lying? He has not beaten me in many debates. All right. He's lost to many debates to me. Everybody can tell you that he's dead. All right. In fact, weren't you trying to debate me, Ross Clark? How come you haven't gone on here and debate me? Because you've been ducking me for a long time. Let's put that out. Anyways, let's see. Difficult question. Let me see what else is there. Before I go, are you lying, Ross Clark? You're lying, bruh. Let's see. Well, let me answer that last question. First of all, when Lennox Lewis beat Evander Holyfield, right? Some people felt that there was nobody else because Tyson was out of commission for a while. But when he beat Tyson, people felt that that was it for Lewis. What else for him to do? Well, Lewis resumed his career after he beat Tyson. Okay, he had one more year of his career. And what did Lewis do? He beat a up-and-coming heavyweight in Vitaly Klitschko, a Hall of Famer now, a Hall of Fame fight, a pound-for-pound fight. He beat him going out on top. So there's still some fights left to be made. After he beat Tyson, after he beat Holyfield, or actually after he beat Tyson, Vitaly was his last fight. He was actually on a 1-year layoff after that. So, so Lennox, didn't really have much left. I mean, some people felt that after the Evander Holyfield fight, there was nothing left for him to do when he became undisputed champion. But he had a few more fights. He had the tour fights. He had the Rockman rematches, Tyson, Botha, Grant. I mean, people thought that Michael Grant was going to be the new heavyweight killer. And look what he did to him. He ruined his career. And he had Vitaly, went out on top, beat an undefeated prime heavyweight who's now a Hall of Famer. So, AJ can still do more. He's still young. He's got his career. So it is. Dan, you've been ducking me ever since the rise of MLBC. Ross Clark, I invited you to come on many times, bro, and you said no. So come on. You speak of as AJ's guaranteed to beat Wilder. It's not even a given. Yeah, there's no guarantee that AJ's going to beat Wilder. There's no guarantee that Wilder's going to beat AJ. But we all have our beliefs that what's going to happen. I believe Wilder's going to beat AJ, but it's going to be a very tough fight. But again, AJ is very capable of beating Wilder. So it is what it is. But that's not really a guarantee. Why are Wilder fans allowing Wilder to contradict himself on a contract that he agreed to in public? Well, JD, I actually called out Wilder on it. What are you talking about? I mean, will you call out Joshua for contradicting himself and turning down the $50 million deal that he asked for? 50-50 revenue split? Are you going to call him out on it? So I'm just saying, it goes both ways, brother. I think AJ with Fury is a 50-50 fight. What? What, Fat Apples? Are you serious? Did you not see Tyson Fury's last performance? You really believe that's a 50-50 fight? I tell you what. I tell you what, Fat Apples. Let's say Deontay Wilder announces that he fights Tyson Fury next. Will you say that's a 50-50 fight? Do you believe that? If so, then you got to give Wilder credit if he fights Wilder and fights Fury and beats him. Joe Ho says Lennox Lewis the real greatest of all time from England. You know what? Some can argue that Lennox Lewis is probably the greatest English fighter of all time. Some could argue that. Some could argue. Well, I know people are going to bring up Randolph Turpin, but no. I mean, Randolph Turpin had a good win. You know, great Hall of Fame win against Sugar Ray Robinson. But I mean, he was a good fighter. But as far as the greatest, I don't know. Some think that Henry Cooper was one of the greatest English fighters of all time. So even though he didn't win a world title. But Lennox Lewis obviously was the undisputed champion from England. So, yeah. No, he turned down an offer, not a contract. He turned down an offer. There was terms that was listed in that contract if he accepted the terms. 50-50 split down the middle, the venue in Vegas, okay? And there was a rematch clause that he was entitled to. He was going to go along with it. Of course, Fat Apples even admitted when his response to me that guys over the UK didn't like that. The fans didn't like the fact that AJ was going to go along with that. They didn't like that, so he changed his tune. Hey, Lennox Lewis even came out and said that he changed his tune. So it is what it is. I mean, are you going to turn on Lennox Lewis for saying that AJ changed his tune on the Wilder fight? He did turn it down. He turned down the opportunity. Let's put it that way. He turned it down. You guys can delegitimize that $50 million all you want to, but Steven Espinoza and Adam Smith, the head of Sky Sports, even confirmed that to be accurate, to be true. So why? I mean, if those guys say it's accurate, then why are you trying to undermine them? Why are we dismissing that fact? Yeah, is Wilder a 50-50 fight for Fury, though? If you believe that AJ and Fury, or you said a prime Fury is a 50-50 fight. Okay. All right, I misquote what you said there, Fat Apples. Okay, I agree with you on that. But right now, no. That's not a 50-50 fight right now. Okay. All right. AJ's crown jewels versus a flat. So if Wilder beats Fury, that makes Wilder the king because he beat the lineal champion. Well, that's true. It does. I mean, well, he is a lineal champion, but let's be real, though. Black Glasses, Anthony Joshua did more of the work than Wilder, per se. So he would be looked upon as the real champion, like people looked at Andre Ward as a real light heavyweight champion than the Donna Stevenson, or Sergey Kovalev as a real lightweight heavyweight champion over Donna Stevenson, even though Donna Stevenson wasn't linear champion. And the reason why people say that is because Stevenson wasn't fighting the best opposition. Kovalev was doing that, not Stevenson at that time. So, you know, we could all debate about that. Yeah, Fury did embarrass Klitschko. And let's be fair, though. I mean, people want to rate AJ's win over Klitschko a great win, which is a very great win. But isn't that a Tyson Fury leftover? Have you even seen Pulp Fiction? Really? Are you up and down these comments in order, aren't you? Because watch too much Pulp Fiction. Yeah, I'm going through all your comments. Like I said, but anyways, I got to get off, guys. I got to get to work. It's been fun. I like all you guys. Fat Apple, shout out to you, man. Even though we have our disagreements, Ross Clot, always up to no good. Black Latin Seas, Joe Host, Champ Ross, I ain't seen you in a while. JD. I actually like this banter. Mr. Rocco Machino, forgot, I'm butchering your last name, brother. But here's the thing about this, guys. I like this banter, even though we disagree and agree a lot of things, but at least we keep it respect. You know what I'm saying? Slick style pugilism. What's up, man? So, I actually like this banner, guys. I really enjoy this chat. But anyways, I got to get going. Yeah. Whatever, Ross Clot. Yeah, cheers, brother. Agree to disagree as always, Fat Apple. Whatever, Ross Clot. You let me know when you want to come on and debate me live, bro. You want to get eaten up by me, bro. You sure you want to do that? That's why you've been avoiding me for a long time. All right, man. Anyways, I'm out, guys. Peace.